Hello. It's Monday, and that means it's time for a show, I think. Welcome, Adam. Welcome, Daryl. How are we doing today? It's definitely Amazing Monday, and if I look over here on my right, which you guys can't see, I'm gonna drag this person in, and then I'm gonna say hello to Unholy Mole. You are live on the Great Debate. How do you feel today?
Feel wonderful.
Wonderful.
Awake.
Well, awake is always good.
How are you this morning?
Oh, it's a dreary, rainy day, so it's one of those, well, I still have things to do outside, but what do I want to do if I don't know what the weather's going to do? You know
Oh, yeah, one of those days. I think we have one more nice day, and then we're supposed to have rain the rest of the week here, so.
Well, I'm one of those where I have a bunch of shit I want to get done outside, and my son's got a birthday party this coming weekend, and I want to have a few things specifically done, and then there's, the generic work, like fixing the garage and all sorts of other shit that I have to do. And I've been working on the backyard, trying to get the grass growing, trying to get the mud all out of the way, trying to get rid of the bugs and the wasps and shit that are all out there, and clearing things and making it fun for 1 or 2 dozen kids to be running around screaming, playing, jumping on trampolines, slides, picnic tables, and whatnot. So, ought to be interesting.
And safe, I suppose, if you're getting rid of wasps.
Yeah, it's that season.
You should see. The other day, dude, I took my son and my son's 5, and I took him and his little friend to the park. I thought, it'll be fun, Jesus Christ, it was like chasing around 2 little crackheads, dude. They have the attention span of a fucking gnat, dude. They're running from one place to another.
Oh yeah.
And I was sitting on the tailgate of my truck, right, smoking a cigarette. I'm a bigger guy, and fucking wasps like dive bombing me, and like there's people walking around this park, like I don't know, they look like maybe like late high school years, maybe early college. Like they were like football players. They look like they were in training. They'd like walk and run. And like this wasp dive bombing. So I'm fucking running around waving my arms and shit. So there's a fat guy running around the truck waving his arms. And them kids they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? So they walk, when they get close to me.
On the other side of the fence, mommy.
Right. Well, no, these guys are older. They're like high school kids. Like late high school, maybe early college. And when they got close, I'm like, hey, I swear I'm not a crazy man. There was a fucking wasp. They just kind of laughed it off and kept walking. But I had to look like an insane man running around. I'm fucking waving my arms and shit.
Right? But you know what it is you get those hot, all sunny days, and they get to 70, and when the sun hits an area where the wasp's nest is, they start waking up and looking for a way to build the next nest. Or
yep. And I don't know if it's like on the East Coast, but it's like it went straight from winter to summer here, dude.
Oh, it went from like 30, 40, up to 80 within a day.
Yeah. We had no spring at all, dude. Like, it was like the Cubbies got snowed out. I live in Illinois, you know that. Cubbies got snowed out April 15th. By April 20th, it was like 85 degrees. I'm like, what the fuck happened, man? I mean, like, well, where did spring go? What happened to spring?
It certainly is a little more awkward these days. The seasons aren't quite seasons anymore. They kind of blend, and then you end up with your April showers in mid-May and whatever else. But yeah, I've already gone through like 7 cans of wasp spray. Apparently, the house I bought, I didn't really know this. I kind of presumed it, but now I know for sure there's a double-lay roof, which means it's the framework, the plywood, roofing, another layer of plywood, and another layer of roofing to save
Who the
money.
hell lays plywood on top of old shingles?
It's a way to save money from removing the roof. Okay?
I think it would have been easier just to take shingles off in the first place.
But the cost of having a roof removed adds...
Yeah, I know.
So some people did this to save money. Well, one side of my house has a roof that's double roofed. And
that's going to be a son of a bitch to tear off when you get ready to do it, dude.
It is. And I'm going to have to tear it all the way down to the base and then rebuild because it looks like it's taking on too much weight.
Is it one layer of shingles on top of plywood on top of another layer of shingles on top of plywood? How many layers of shingles are there?
It's a layer of shingles, a layer of plywood, a layer of shingles. Now, the last time they had the roof done, I said we should pull it all off, and she said, no, I can't afford to get rid of all of the debris from it. So we ended up just peeling it down to the closest layer of plywood and re-roofing it. But next time I do this, that all has to come off, because in the flashing and the edge molding, you get these gaps, and I have 2 gaps on the back of the house where the roofs kind of open a little, and that's where the wasps are. That's where they made their nests. So when the roof heated up on those warm days, I all of a sudden had wasps everywhere in my backyard. And I've got mud back there, so they're all over any wet, muddy areas to try and gather up the mud to build the nest. And it's just getting on my nerves. So I think I got the nests that are in the roof. Now I gotta spray the yard with something that'll get the wasps to stop collecting the mud.
I hate wasps. Ugh.
Bees aren't so bad because you can kind of get rid of them if you blow smoke at them and shit. Wasps, you blow smoke at them, they're gonna sting you most of the time.
Yeah, the thing with like wasps serve no purpose in life at all. I mean, like I'm an atheist. Evolution.
They're food.
I do not know what fucking purpose they serve. At least like bees, like pollinate flowers and do things like that. Wasps are just on the earth to be assholes. I think that's the only reason they're just assholes.
Let's Though I love conversations, I'm gonna have to come up with some new ways to have conversations. Let's get a board going so we can have a conversation about a topic.
Let's do this.
Can I do this? Will it work for me? Shit doesn't always want to do what it's supposed to, but here we go. Welcome to the Great Debate. The Batman had to deal with bees. NumbedSkull had to deal with wasps. Yeah, I've been dealing with wasps. The bees that I have had to deal with are those, you ever see those really fat bees that come out in the spring that are overfed, and they're like an inch long and 3/4 of an inch wide? They're just fat and they can barely fly. They're like a foot above the ground. I've got a couple of those that I've been swatting at because they just hover in my garage. Yeah, I think they're bumblebees, but they're bigger than the size bees that are average for this area.
They're like the size of your thumb almost, like the big fat ones.
Oh, yeah. Big fat bees. It's like, wow, is the oxygen level really that high these days?
Some Kent Hovind pre-flood shit.
Yeah, right. All right, we have, again, 18 topics on this wonderful board. And in those 18 topics is a conversation starter. It's either going to be a question or a statement. It's going to start the conversation on one of these topics just to get some input on them. We've all played this game at least once before, so let's go with it. What do you want to do?
All right, let's go with, since it's the first one, let's go with movies.
Movies. If they made a well-written movie centered around a hetero relationship, is that counterproductive to today's conversation?
No.
Like slap.
No, not at all. I don't understand why every character has to be gay or trans or black or green or orange. Whatever happened, just fucking regular TV shows with a good plot. Right. Doesn't really matter what color they are, who they have sex with, if the plot is made well.
I try to rewrite this question in this category every couple of topics, or every couple of times the category gets picked. I try to come back to this question at least somewhat in one shape or form, because it's something that a lot of people are talking about, and I can sort of understand their feeling. I want to see someone that represents me that I can identify with. And it's not someone,
I get that. I get that.
They're putting it out wrong. They're saying, I want to see someone that represents. I think what they mean is, I want to see someone I identify with.
Right. I get that. I totally get that. But how are we supposed to pander to a small percentage of the population just to make them happy when the larger percent of the population is actually what makes up a majority of the movie sales? Does that make sense?
Well, here's something I was thinking about when I was writing this question is what type of people actually go to the movies? And these days, you have to admit that a larger percentage of moviegoers and film watchers are probably more apt to be inclusive or to be in the LGBTQ community and want to see relationships that they can closer identify with.
Like I said, I mean, I'm not a, you know, I'm not a, I'm an older guy, not older guy, I'm 40, but I mean, I have nothing against anybody. I mean, I don't care if you're gay or, the only people I have stuff against, them are my enemies. So as long as they're not making a movie about trying to convert me into a Christian, I'll go watch it. I don't care. Right. I don't care who's in it, what their sexuality is, what color they are. It doesn't matter as long as the plot's well written. What does bother me though is I'm a purist when it comes to comics, and I am starting to get a little pissed off about how they're just rewriting history, like making Achilles black in fucking Troy. That's ridiculous, dude. He would have never been black. He was Greek. How the fuck could he have been a black guy? Why do you have to change history?
If you want to push in that direction, some history is just lore, and as lore passes down, it changes, and there is nothing that stops that lore from changing.
That's fair enough.
You want to look at? Let's look at Snow White. Let's look at some of the now considered happy fairy tales, and let's look at where they came from, how they started, and they started as horrible, bloody.
Like grim fairy tales.
Yeah, that's how that started. So when you think about where we are for today, is it really any stretch to say it's okay to change to encompass what we see today? It's no stretch at all. So let's look at this from both sides. Is there a reason we should even be considering showing relationships? It's so diverse. Should we center in on any of them? Whether it be hetero or non-hetero or whatever it be. Should we center in on a relationship in a movie?
If it plays into the plot, yes. But if not, then it's not important.
What if the plot is like it's a romance movie, so somebody's got to fall in love or die and be unhappy for the rest of their life at the end?
It did fine. I mean, then let it center on the relationship, whether it be gay, straight, whatever. It doesn't matter. People love people no matter who they are. And you are right, Vash. There were black people in Greece. So I'm just saying, in the common sense way, it's always been that Achilles was a Greek. I mean, so you know that's all I'm saying. I mean, he could have been black, I suppose, but what really bothers me is comic books. Comic books were written, and the characters were made who they were, and they've always been that way. Why do they need to change now? That doesn't make any sense. Like, doesn't
because of the same reason how do I say it? Kind of because of the same thing I just said. You've read the comic book. So if they want to put it out again in another medium, or they want to improve on it, they have to change things. And right now, it seems the conversation is changing it's changing to the sexuality and the color and all of that. So if the conversation is changing there, shouldn't the writing and the media reflect that? Shouldn't it also slowly change with us?
Yeah, suppose so. Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. That's why.
No, so was I. I got it up in 3 different places. So yeah, I'm reading the chat and I'm trying to keep looking back at what the question was.
Black people are the foundation of civilizations. Prove that. I don't buy that. They might be the civilization of some civilizations, but not all civilizations. That's a pretty fucking blanket generalization. Yes.
Yeah. It's all right. Here's something to think about. A little off topic, but when you think back into the past, we look at blacks and whites coming from different regional areas depending on seasonal growth, sun exposure, and things like that. It's not hard to believe that at one point in history. Hold on. It's not hard to believe that at one point in history there was no difference in color because there was so many shades between people.
And, in ancient times, they didn't even look at color of skin, really.
Right.
Color of skin, there was no race involved.
Definition of who was responsible for things, and we see it as we're seeing from history that we literally dig up. So there are cases where people we think would have been white in history could have been black, or could have been close to black, but had white structured bones and whatnot that we would think they would have been white, but their skin might not have been white.
Oh, you mean they would have had Caucasian feet, but had more darker.
Now, we know today we can associate bone structure and skin color and areas of the world, but back then it was different. There weren't as many people. They didn't associate that. People's skin color was dependent on their exposure to the sun. If you lived in certain areas of the world, you had different exposure, and people grew to adapt to that. So there was a whole spectrum of color back then. We can't define who was what color if you want to take it down to that.
And we really can't say who lived in what region at what time. I mean, things have changed so much. I mean, we have a pretty good idea. Civilization started in the Levant. You know, I mean, that's the cradle of civilization, you know, between in Baghdad, Iraq, whatever, wherever you want to call it. The Levant, anyway, you know, the Fertile Crescent. And that was in a very temperate place. It was very warm.
Now,
so people there probably
you're still only talking about civilization with Homo sapiens sapiens. You're talking about Homo sapiens sapiens.
Yes, I am. I'm talking about
not talking about hominid civilization beginnings. And
no, I'm not.
You're not talking about the mix of the 10 hominid species that were once on the planet. 3 of them partaking in our Homo sapiens sapiens. You're not.
No, I'm talking about once we've evolved.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about once we evolved into Homo sapiens. Not when, I mean, like, I don't believe that Neanderthals died out. I believe that some of them died, but I think for a majority of them just interbred with Homo sapiens, and we became what we are today. I mean, because you do know that, don't they say like 90% of Caucasian people have Neanderthal DNA in them?
Right.
Like
there's 3 known, well-traceable lineages from before Homo sapiens sapien. One of them delineates to Neanderthal DNA. There's claim that there was up to 10 hominid Homo sapien type species living on the planet from different sizes that were able to live in different climates, and that as they sort of met, some of them were able to interbreed and some of them weren't, which is what caused different ones to die off quicker. And the ones that were able to interbreed kind of went through what I guess sort of what we're saying now is black and white and Asian, and they separated out. So it was found that they actually killed opposing people for mating outside of their species, but it was possible the offspring that came up developed a new shoot of the species.
Yeah,
and that's how
totally
came
possible.
about.
And like you said, some of them probably couldn't interbreed because, like, just like, you know, like horses, zebras, it's like some species, they're close enough that they could breed, but the offspring they have would be sterile, so that line would die out. You know, that kind of.
That's kind of what would happen, but. Way off topic of movies. Awesome conversation still, nonetheless. That's why I always like to let it go for a few minutes. We still have a board to attain to. Right.
You know me in history.
Oh,
you know how I get
me in
anything. Get to talk about history. Ugh. Were you there? I hate to change subject, but were you there when I was talking to Matt about climate change? I never realized my friends were some climate change denying motherfuckers. I'm like, are you guys serious?
I'm indifferent.
I'm not like totally on board, but I mean, there are signs. I mean, but climate's changed many times through the millennia. I mean, the 1300s, there was like, what, 100-year where it was like a little mini ice age where there was drought and like famine and blah, 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 all that stuff. So
well,
climate does
change. You have to think that we are judging what we know happening based on previous circumstances that we might not exactly know what happened. We can judge ice layers somewhat defined on their packing and the layers in between, judging them by the melted summers refreezing and all of that, but we can't be certain.
True.
How many times just in this year have we all of a sudden seen a nice sunny day? What if we had 10 feet of snow on the ground, that sunny day came out, melted it down a few inches, all of a sudden it turned around and snowed again? You know, that would create almost that layer. You know, the right weather circumstances could prove us wrong on everything we know.
Logic. Can't argue with that. Damn you and your logic.
All right, let's get another topic. We need a topic. Topics are wonderful.
What the fuck or fuck the walk?
That's right. Does absence of the ability to understand and recognize things mean we may not understand the presence of a higher being?
Oh man.
This is perfect for you too.
Yeah. Shit.
This
Hold on.
probably came in after I was on your show. This is probably something that lingered on my mind and just kind of, where do I put this topic?
Does the absent ability to understand and recognize things we may not understand the presence of a higher being? I'm an agnostic atheist, so I'd have to say that yes, that it is possible. But if there is a higher being and we just don't understand it, why don't we see any evidence of it working in the world at all? I mean, or maybe we just don't recognize it as it working in the world. I don't know. That question kind of fucks.
Okay, so let's add some easy context to this, because I started saying this once before, and I love conversations that really make your mind go, but
that one just made me go poof.
Okay, my neighbor is a former minister or pastor or something, so we like to have those intellectual conversations because he knows I'm agnostic. I believe there could be, but I'm not certain on it, therefore there's nothing that I follow.
Right.
He offered to me, in a suggestion of something I was talking about was space and the plasma and electric fields from a show I did on Numbed Wasteland, another show I do, that what if we can only, because I constantly say you don't know what you don't know, because until you learn something, you don't know that you don't know the next step, okay? And with that, he offered back to me, well, what if we haven't developed the understanding to realize what it would take to know there was a being there?
Okay, I can get on board with that one. Do you mind if I steal this question and talk about it? This is worth a whole.
Oh, absolutely! I encourage that. Once a question comes up on my board, you can take it and roll with it. Just
you're welcome,
so I can see
you're
it.
Welcome. You're welcome to come on the stream and join in too, because this is a good question. I mean, like, I would like to ask this to people like Shannon Q and the Godless Engineer, Godless Cranium. This would definitely be a question. I would like to hear what they have to say about this.
When you think about it, though, it's really hard.
Oh man, that's a really mind-blowing question.
I don't know what organism is on Titan AE. I don't know what lives there because I can't see. We don't understand it because we haven't developed the capability to see it yet. So once we develop that capability, will we realize something that we didn't before, and that'll make it so that we can then see something we couldn't see before?
And the good thing about this, the way this is worded, is the presence of a higher being. That doesn't say the higher being has any outcome on where our lives are in, or whether it had anything to do with us being created. It has nothing to do with us. This is just, I mean, if this could be an alien life, this could be like fucking alien living, 30,000 light years away. You know what I mean?
Something that has more power and capability than us. And this is kind of how my neighbor presented it to me, because he realizes that giving it the open thought gives you the ability to look at it from more angles, which gives you the ability to learn more from it. And I
really like that question. I really like that question. That is a thinker question there. I really like that question.
What do you think?
I would have to say, I mean, it would be disingenuous of me to say that that's ridiculous to think that, because, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I can agree with the minister on that part, but I mean, I think he might when you said he's a former minister, do you mean he's a minister that lost his faith?
No. He's an old guy, and I'm an at-home dad, and we just sit in a chair on the front porch and have conversations. Yeah.
He's
tell
retired.
Stories back and forth, and I'm not one that follows the faith, nor have I asked him where his faith lies. That conversation literally hasn't come up. Moreover, we have conversations about the existential things in between our beliefs, and the ability to converse.
If you think about it, this question could fuck up an atheist, but this can also fuck up an atheist, because if we can't understand the presence of a higher being, then who are they saying that, that God came down and set all these rules for all these people? If they don't understand what the higher being is, how did they understand the rule? How did they understand that's what it was? Was it God trying to give them the rules or tell them, hey, look, I'm God? They wouldn't have understood. It'd have been totally beyond their comprehension.
Right.
At
some point,
that could fuck up an atheist. It could also fuck up a theist. I mean, that's really
you even look at people from the past and go, okay, so you saw a bush start burning. That could have been anything. The bush talked to you. That could have been your mind. You're just crazy. Then enough people said it, and it's like, okay, well, maybe something really did happen. We don't know. Maybe somebody back then understood something we don't understand. Maybe there's something they could hear or see that we don't hear or see. Maybe it's an inherent DNA problem. Maybe it's a genetic manipulation or a nuclear change in the RNA of somebody. It could be anything that kind of tilts that to make it so that you have the ability to see something that others don't see. Sort of, speaking of theory of other dimensions, sort of speaking in a way that if you don't realize you're looking through a piece of glass until you run into the glass.
Yeah. Like you said, you can't know what you don't. You can infer, you can hypothesize, but you can't know. That's why I'm an atheist, but I'll always add on that I'm an agnostic, because it would be disingenuous of anyone to say, I know for sure there is no God. I don't know that for sure. I'm pretty sure that the Christian God is pretty sure, the Abrahamic God. So let's just put it in a blank category.
I think that's what I said that incited the thought from him is I was like, well, I have the belief that there is no God. He goes, well, put God aside. He goes, don't think of it as a God. Think of it as, like you say, that you don't see things, you don't know what you don't know until you know that you didn't know it.
Right.
And imagine that you're just not capable of knowing what you need to recognize that being.
Right. And I mean, anything, like, think, what does an ant think about us? I mean, to an ant, are we gods? I mean, we can take their life in a split second. We can feed them. You know what I mean? I mean, we can either kill them, we can make them live, we can keep them as pets, I suppose, if you want. You could have a little ant farm. I mean, are we gods to an ant? I mean, because God is a very generic word. I mean, God just encompasses a higher power. That
I think I originally typed in God, and then I typed in God with a lowercase g, and then I took it out, and because I've been to 12 steps programs, I put higher power because it just kind of clicked.
Oh, yeah. I would love to have a discussion with you about that sometime too. About atheism and 12-step programs. Can they work in conjunction together? I believe they can.
Really. They can, but they can't. It's all a matter. The 12-step program isn't a matter of the program. It's a matter of personal perspective. It's a matter of personal reflection and ability.
It is. That's what I'm saying. The atheist, you can be an atheist and still work a 12-step program. I think you are quite capable of being an atheist working 12-step program, because you know that it involves cleaning up the wreckage of your past and in self-reflection, finding out what your inner flaws are so you don't repeat them, to try to change yourself into a better person. It has nothing to do with God.
Now that you got slapped in the face with this is all coincidental. You guys notice Mole doesn't have a podium. I might be able to fix that. I think he's been on recently enough for me to fix that. I'll have to look at that. But Mole just jumped in last minute because I didn't have any guests. So, I wasn't prepared. No, that's not Mole. Whoops. Unholy Mole. There's your name tag.
I am. Yeah, moles are underground.
And I just gotta get optic decay off. And then figure out why shit doesn't fit. Oh, stuff's all sorts of wrong. All sorts of wrong here.
If you guys are interested in atheism, anybody in the chat interested in atheism, I interview atheists on my channel. I also do live streams about beers, stuff like that, debunking flat earth, crap like that. I'm having Shannon Q, that's Paula Gia's girlfriend. She's coming on Tuesday night. And then I believe Kyle Curtis from the Non Sequitur Show is going to be on later this week. if you want to check that out. Unholy Mole.
Look at that. We have a mole on our screen.
Woo! There I am.
There we go. Now I'm in the right spot. All right, and let me check at the chat. Being a mole is on the ground. Yep, indeed, Skull. Love this show. It's so thought stimulating. Sometimes you just get the funny questions. Sometimes you get the oh shit, what the hell did you just do to me? I get people, and I think it's funny. They come on here going, yeah, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna give you the funniest topic, and they pick it and they go, I was gonna make fun of you. I was gonna have fun with this, but crap. I have something I really wanted to say about this topic, so here we, and I love that. It's like, yeah, slap talk.
Yeah, when you came on that stream, when I invited you to that stream, dude, that was besides Cabbage being a bastard, I had a lot of fun on that stream. That was a quite thought-provoking stream.
But the Flat Earth?
Yeah, that was fun. And them Flat Earthers. I could never get a Flat Earther to come on, and I did one time, but his ideas were just, I kept asking him, I'm like, show me a working model of a flat Earth universe. Like, how would that work? And not a single flat Earther will ever come on and try to explain how a flat Earth model would work.
What's funny is I think I actually understand how the flat Earth model would work and why. I can't believe it, but the weird thing is, and this got some of your other guests on the show that day, was I started with defending the flat Earth model. Until your guest had started to tell me that math and formulas had no bearing on science.
That weren't my guests. That was just that weird ass flat Earther that kept saying that.
The other guests on the panel. One of them actually stopped and went, "Are you arguing on his side?" Yeah, hold on. I can follow the flat Earth concept. It is believable. I actually understand how the flat Earth concept would work. I've gone over this on one of my own shows, the Numbed Wasteland that we started a few weeks back. We went over it. We tried to look at some of this, and I tried to understand it. And in the attempt to understand it, now when I talk to a flat Earther, they go, math and formulas have nothing to do with science, and like, no, I'm sorry, I got nothing for you. I can't even be on your side anymore. You just completely lost any effort I had towards you. Now we have to go to math and science.
Right? If they could, that's what I'm trying to say. Is if they want to throw math and science out the window, if you can show me a working model, that where physics will match up with the flat Earth, then okay, I'll buy into it. But you'd have to throw gravity out the window. You'd have to throw everything out of the window for a flat Earth model to work. And why? If you look up into the sky, the sun is an orb, the moon is an orb, Mars is an orb, Saturn's an orb. Why would we be any different?
Not in a flat Earth model.
But I mean, why would we be any different if everything around you is round?
No.
Why would we be different?
Okay. There's your misconception. That's why you have such a hard time understanding. There is no other. There is nothing to compare to. We are Earth. We are flat. And we are it.
No, we're not flat. Go on.
No, we are it. See, in a flat Earth model, there is no space. There is no sun. There are no other planets. In a true flat Earth model, in order for it to work, everything outside of ourselves is a representation and is not actually there. Therefore, any comparison you make to another body is a false comparison. That's why you don't understand how it works.
But that isn't how it works, because I can see the
how
other
it
body.
Works. Just because I understand it doesn't mean that's what's going on. I understand their fallacy.
That's like a God of the Gaps thing. Just because I don't understand, therefore it is. I mean, but I can see the other. I can see the Earth or the Moon. I can see the Sun. I can see Mars. Of
course you can, because
they're there.
No, you can see it because. Let me see if my soundboard does this. Hey, want you to see it.
I've heard that somewhere, Neela, about the Saturn being Satan. I think as that Flat Earth Paradise guy. I want to do a video on him, but he's so fucking all over the place that I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. I'm like, I just want to laugh through the whole thing because it makes no sense at all.
Okay,
like,
well, one of these days I will help it make sense to you, and then when you have another flat earther come on, you can literally go up toe-to-toe with them on their own facts. But when someone says math and formulas do not exist in science...
Oh,
man. Oh, I'm gone. I need more drugs.
Yeah, that one threw me. I was like, man, I am not high enough for this shit. What the hell is going on here? Math is not science. Okay, then.
So, back to some of the current topics we should be talking about. This is fun.
All right.
What do we got next?
Let's go. All right, we've done one from easy, one from general. Let's go with, I hate politics, but let's see what it has to say. Politics!
Is there a way to remove money and its use to sway politicians from decisions made from constituents?
Get rid of lobbyists?
Is there a way?
Oh, is there a feasible way to do it? Not that I can think of.
Now, we're always talking.
Not really.
Do you know who Styx Hexenhammer is?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't he make a governor run here shortly ago, and he said, I'm not going to take money, I'm going to do this and this, and then found out that a whole bunch of things were violations, that he couldn't do it like that because of rules in place to prevent from corruption?
Yeah.
And all of those rules in place don't actually prevent from corruption because it still happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what lobbyists do. They lobby for politicians. That's where it's not considered a bribe. It's more of a donation. But it's still
how
money.
Do you feel about guns?
Money.
Well, I think we should cut back the Second Amendment right. Okay, well,
you're
not getting money from us this year. When you like guns and you're gonna reduce some of the restrictions, the NRA is gonna give you more money to keep you in office. We will make sure your your party and your area get the money needed for you to stay in office to keep running. The problem being that it is so expensive to run for office, you can't run without the money.
This goes back all the way to like Tammany Hall. Remember in New York how they're the robber barons? I mean, this is kind of how that's where politics I think started to go astray, and it lost its that's when democracy changed America, I believe. I'd say late Victorian era. You know what I'm talking about, right? Tammany Hall,
roughly, yeah.
New York. Yeah. So that kind of goes back to that. They used extortion tactics, scare tactics, and then they started just using straight up bribes because after a while, I mean, they're not going to elect a guy that used fucking scare tactics to get him, so they started going around that, and that's kind of how lobbyists came about. And that's when politics became all about.
In here for a couple of weeks now, but have you watched CNN recently? Or not? Was it CNN or Fox? Somebody broke a story about Planned Parenthood funding.
I don't watch.
I try to catch clips of important stuff where I can. Liberty Hound does a good job.
I just if I want to hear anything about the news, I'll just talk to MC or Mad Dodge because them guys are fucking.
All right, so apparently we give like $20 million a year from the federal government to Planned Parenthood for medical or whatever it is, right? Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay, so it came out today or a few days ago when the story broke that Planned Parenthood turns around and gives most of that and then some to the Democratic Party. So they take money that they're given by the government and then spend it on getting their party elected to the government. So what is the money actually being used for? Is that money actually there, or is it just a number that bounces between numbered accounts? Oh no, we're gonna have Planned Parenthood this month, and then next month it goes to the tax to the.
Are they just numbers on spreadsheet? Are they just numbers on spreadsheet? Isn't that all really money really is?
Well,
I mean,
no,
money like
yes, that's all
like
money really
Matt
is
says,
for the most part
money is
these
just
days.
money is nothing more than a piece of paper that says that we'll it represents money. It really means nothing. I mean, there's no gold backing anymore. There's nothing backing our reserve. Right. Our money is just printed on faith. I mean, that's pretty much how our money works. Faith, which I don't really. But you'd have to talk to like Matt. You really should get Matt on one of the after.
Vash Lynch.
He's on the West Coast.
Hillary does that with her charity. Do you know why most multi-million and billionaires have charities in their name? Do you know why they do that?
Tax cuts?
What happens is they take the amount of money they make in a year and they need to give certain amounts to charities. So the best thing for them to do is create a charity that they can knowingly dump the money into.
And then that's tax-free money, plus they get it back.
They get a tax credit for donating the money. The money goes into
their
charity.
The money back.
They can run the charity almost like a different type of business and spend the money on what they think they need to for that charity. So they still get to do what they want with their money. All they got to do is follow all the tax laws.
It's like a shell corporation.
Right, and sometimes the charities do get in trouble, but you'll see this happen sometimes. If the charity is run as a certain type of organization, they can actually give money to the party of the person running. So they can give money back to themselves, and the money just, hey, look, I get the tax credit, I put the money over here, and then I'll use that money to pay the Democratic Party for my run for office, because then the Democratic Party is going to give me that money to run my commercials, and it just goes around. And that, I think, is a huge problem, is
I do
everybody's
too.
always about, well, I got to max out the amount of money that's coming through so that I can keep getting reelected. And it's where all the money seems to be going sometimes. It's hard to believe that you're talking about companies making, $2 or $3 million in an area, and then you turn around and the person overseeing the area took $2 or $3 million from another company to pass a law or stay in office. And it's like, well, why? You guys block buying dinners, but you can donate to the party.
Yeah. That's why I'm not even. I wouldn't even consider myself a lefty or a righty. I would say I'm bipartisan. If I had to say what I probably am, is classic liberal, which would be what, a libertarian, pretty much, I guess. Classic liberal, is that what they're considered now?
I'm a liberal-leaning bipartisan, I suppose. I'm more of a centrist in most aspects.
So am I. I'm a centrist who leans to the left on social things, and I kind of lean to the right when it comes to economics.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm a centrist. That's called a classic liberal. I believe that's a classic liberal. I'm pretty much straight dead center, but maybe I lean a little bit farther to the left than I do right.
Welcome, Cult.
Hey, Cult. Yeah. How's it going, brother?
They manipulate the word charity to a horrible extreme. And then when you look into some charities and find out that less than 25% of the money donated to a charity actually goes to doing good of some sort in some charities, you realize how badly the system is being used. And then look at how many people with a lot of money. Trump has their own charity. The Clintons have their own charities.
All of them.
The Koch brothers have charities. If they have a company, they have a charity. It is a tax write-off.
Yeah, the Gates have charities. Who's that one? Warren Buffett. I'm sure he has his own charities. Any very wealthy person you can think of probably has, more than likely.
Even if they don't have any say over what the charity does, having the charity opening it and depositing large amounts of money into it looks really good for their company and their bottom line. Yeah. Let's get another topic going. We're running low on time. We got 14 minutes left.
All right, let's go with creator tips. Go a little lighter this time. Picking heavy shit here.
Know your role. Is this a hobby, financial need, vent from IRL? How does this affect creators' content?
Well, okay. All right. Know your role. Is this a hobby for me? Yes, it is a hobby. If it's I think that makes a huge difference on what kind of videos you make. If you're doing it for a financial need, you're going to try to pander to a certain audience. I guess we all sort of pander a certain audience. I mean, like, obviously I make atheist content, so atheists, maybe some Christians might watch it. Maybe someone might stumble on it by accident. So I guess we all have a niche. But if you're doing it for financial need, I think that makes more, it would make your videos less about what you really want to make them about and what's actually going to get watched by the most people.
Right. Yes, most charity cults of the lich, not to go back, but want to address this. Most charities give the majority of their money to the goal that they're purposed to. Some charities underwrite inside the charity that any money needed to pay for people to do the work pays for people to do the work.
Oh,
and in some cases, you find that they'll pay more to employees working for the charity as full-time employees.
Yeah, I want to say something. This, I used to work for a call center where we called and tried to get donations for different charities or whatnot. And some of the charities, dude, like the one of the veterans ones that Wounded Warriors, maybe Wounded Warriors, they got like 60% of what we actually gathered for them. But some of the charities got as low as 10%. Dude. Like the overhead is fucking ridiculous because the paper you have to send out, the people they have to pay. I mean, I'm
that's
sure
why they tell you to check into
someone's
charities.
pocket was getting. Yeah, because
before
a lot
you
of
donate money, look at what you're donating to and where they spend the money.
Very much so.
They're supposed to be transparent about that too. So you'll find shady organizations don't tell you, don't donate.
Well, if they don't ask, they tell you not to tell them.
Right.
I mean, I guess that's lying. That'd be like lying by omission. But I mean, that's why I research charities very thoroughly if I'm going to give any, because I want to make sure it's going to what I'm giving the money to. I realize that everything has overhead. Nothing is free.
So,
but I mean, a majority of it should go to the charity.
Back to the current topic, though. I noticed I do this as a hobby. If it wasn't a hobby, I'd still be doing it 5 days a week, pushing to get people to come really, really hard. It's a hobby, so I'm not going to push really hard when I'm not putting all of my drive into it. If this was a financial need, which, you know, I kind of do have it, but I don't think doing this is the way to fulfill that financial need. But if this was a financial need, I would be here. I would be setting times of the day and how much to do and what I needed to get out and have a set schedule. Not that I don't. I have a set schedule because I want people to show up regularly. I would have a pushed set schedule where my 5 days a week would have stayed 5 days a week, and I'd be trying somewhere to add more stuff in to get more people. I know some people do this as a vent from real life, and they don't care about making anything on it. They just kind of want to get on here and bitch about something they saw, and then you don't see them again for 3-4 weeks, and then they come on and bitch about something, and then you don't see them for 3-4 weeks. This affects how people create what they create. Because this is a hobby for me, sometimes I'm throwing things together right before the show. And it's got to be more off the cuff and more, oh crap, I forgot to do this, and oops, sorry guys, this isn't working today because I didn't do that. That's because it's a hobby and I'm not nailing it down to what I have to do to make it work every time.
Change with time too. When I first started my channel, it was just like, a channel for shit, just shit shows. But now I kind of I have a direction I want to go in, so yeah, I'll still have bullshit streams on my channel every now and then, but I don't want that to be focused on the channel anymore. I want it to be more, I had a, Godless Engineer.
Who? Say it again.
You know who Godless Engineer is?
Probably not.
He's a pretty big atheist YouTuber. I interviewed his girlfriend the other day, and my views have went up from like 55 for my streams to like 100 views stream. So, I do want to change the direction I'm going and make it a little bit more professional, kind of how you do. I want it to be more thought-provoking rather than just a shit show. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well,
anybody can jump on it and talk about shit.
I thought if I can make my hobby by a certain point in time become a small-time career to give me that income that I needed to just top off my house, to make sure we're not broke. I don't want to go broke. I've been in that boat. I'm trying to make sure I stay out of it. I didn't hit the points where I wanted to hit to deem me to call it a job for the summer. Because if I was making, a couple $100s a week, that would be more than enough for me to say, okay, guys, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be adding to my show list just to, give you guys what you're paying for kind of thing. And that's how I would feel about it. Now, I feel kind of bad because I have had donations because people enjoy my channel. And I try to weigh those against the time period in which I got them and how much I got over what period and what months were beneficial. I mean, it's not even a lot. I made just over $100 on my channel. So that's cool. Awesome hobby. I did something right, but it's not I need to stay behind this screen to earn the next $100 because it's not guaranteed or presumed.
I think you're pretty much like I am. You do this for stimulating conversation.
Yeah, mostly. That's
that's what I do. That's why, like, when I interview, like, I have to say the atheist is fucking wonderful, dude. Like, they don't care if you only have 100 subs. Like, I've had Godless Engineer come on my channel. He's got like 25,000 subs, but he came on and let me interview. Godless Cranium, Apologia, people like that. I mean, these guys are huge. I mean, the atheist community. I mean, you got to realize it's a niche community. So, I mean, they don't have a million fucking subs like some channels. But, I mean, the community is so wonderful that they're they want to, just like me. I mean, if I don't know something about something, I would like to learn that from someone else. I'm open-minded enough to listen to what your views are, and though I might disagree with them, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, everybody does. I'm here. But for the most part, I do try to listen and keep it civil, and I've realized that if you have a channel, like if you have stream, you want to keep it like 5 people or less, dude. If you have more than that, really, really hard, because everybody starts talking over each other and shit gets way off topic. You start off talking about, how Satan became Satan, and the next thing you know, you're talking about like sticky or whatever. I mean, it can literally devolve that quickly.
Yeah, so we did one of those intentionally on Saturday night. I do Numbed Wasteland with Data Wasteland. So I took the 2 of our names and kind of made the Numbed Wasteland. And we started on one thing at the beginning of a 2-hour show, and by the end of 2 hours, we had gone through like 9 different topics, and we were totally somewhere else. But it still felt like a good show because that was the point of that show. Oh yeah, sometimes it's more fun. You have to plan for it, though. If you're after a show with a specific content, you got to aim for that content. If you're after the off-the-cuff, what happens in the next hour or 2 hours is what happens, and let's roll with it, then that's what you're after. You have to kind of know what you're doing when you start, or you're always going to feel like you're in the wrong direction. Know your role. Know what you're doing. Know what your role is, what your purpose is when you sit down at your computer. If your purpose is to make money, go at it with the intent to make money. If your purpose is to vent, go at it with the vent. If your purpose is to make this a hobby, then don't lock yourself into it thinking that you're obligated to do things unless you make yourself obligated to do it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's where the difference is. I mean, a hobby to me is something you do regularly. I mean, and this is something we all do regularly. I mean, like, I can literally get on like any number of streams or watch any number of videos, and I notice the same people in the chat all the time. I mean, whether it be on your channel or someone else's channel. I mean, like the overlap is so wide, and we do have a community on YouTube. We have a literal community. I mean, I know some people don't like that word, but we do have a, whether we like to think that or not. So this is our hobby. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are like, normal people would probably be like, I can't believe you guys just spend all your time on the fucking computer. Well, I live in a little bumfuck town in Illinois where there is nobody I can talk to about intellectual things. So what am I supposed to, literally, what am I supposed to, there's nothing to do in this town besides get high and get arrested. I'm not down with that shit.
Well, I'm at a point where I have a house. So I've created myself in my head a list of things I would like to get done with the house. So if this were, again, if it were financially inciting, I would be here more often to earn the need to be able to do the things. And I do the things on the side. But since this is a hobby and I'm not earning anything from it, well, I have things to do. This is what I'm going to do on the side. So what I'm trying to do is make this, okay, you need to spend this much time not busting your ass doing things you're not making anything from. Make sure you spend this time working on something you feel productive and isn't going to physically, you know, I slit my wrist open with a concrete block stacking a wall. That was interesting.
That was...
Yeah, it was quite painful. It's almost healed up. That was about a week ago. I took off like 2 layers of skin all the way across the whole, from, you know, across the street, right across the veins on my wrist, and it wouldn't stop bleeding for an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, I picked up the block, and apparently when I shifted it, I scraped it across my wrist and just rough rock grading across the soft spot in the wrist right below your hand, and it ripped at it. So I put shit on it and covered it for a few days, and it's finally just scabbed over.
Yeah, I've worked in factories my whole life. Yeah, I've been fucked up. Like you never tell them. I mean, if I got hurt really badly, you would have to tell them. But as a rule, I would just find a rag and duct tape it. You know,
absolutely,
wrap it around there. Like I ain't going to take no drug tests.
No, the work is good. You're enjoying it. I'm fine. Give me my money. I'll go home and put the Band-Aid on. I'll be fine.
You know, back to work. It's 2 feet from my heart. It ain't gonna kill me.
Did I use a Band-Aid though? Not until I usually get done with things and get in the house. Honestly, I have a quotation marks in the air. I have a developed first aid kit. It has 9 or 10 different ointments. I have bacitration A&D. I have anti-itch with aloe. I have anti-itch. I have cortisone 10. I have basically anything you would want for anything. I have eye washes. I have burn prep. I have the arm slings. I have ice packs. I have bandages and gauze and tapes. I have the sweatproof tape. I have the cloth tape. I have the... You name it. I mean, if I see shit cheap for like 50 or 90 cents at the dollar store for like Band-Aid tape, grab it. You see Band-Aids on sale, 2 for $1. You grab a couple boxes and throw them in there. I got 2 kids and myself. I can't tell you one day in the summer.
Start calling you NumbedSkull the Eagle Scout.
Somebody in my family bleeds every day.
You got a few kids. I get it, man. It's good to be prepared. Better to be.
I'm not going to stop them from getting hurt. I literally tell them, don't come to me unless you're bleeding or a bone is poking out. So when they come to me, it's, Dad, I'm bleeding. All right, we'll get inside. We'll put some cream on it.
You kind of father like I do. Me and my girlfriend fight about that. Like, I'm of the old school variety that if you fucking fall down and fuck up yourself, you will learn not to do that again.
Right.
And she is a mother hen that wants to protect them thing.
Well, I'm like, both sides. Hey, by the way, if you go out there and fall out of the hammock and hit the stump, it's gonna hurt. Oh, Dad, I fell out of the hammock and hit the stump. Right. How does it feel? It hurts. Are you bleeding? No. Then go away.
Right. Yeah, like, but she's I mean, I get it though. I mean, it's our only. He's an only child, so like. I mean, I don't know. I was raised with tough love, and like I learned I learned really young not to go to my mom with anything because my mom was a panicker, kind of like my girlfriend Heather is. But my dad, like, I'd go and show him and be like, "All right, let's get that fixed up," you know. So your mom knows. And I'm like, "All right, let's."
My mom was always at work, so it was one of those when she'd get home, she'd look at me and go, "Why do you have duct tape around your leg?" Oh, yeah, I slid down the hill and cut my leg open. I got some paper towels on there. Do we have any gauze I can use? I couldn't find them earlier. Oh, do I have to take you to the hospital? No, I got the bleeding to stop.
Right.
That would be my mom.
I just think sometimes people can get a little overprotective. I mean, I get it. I get it, man. I never thought I would understand until I had kids. But once you have kids, I mean, it changes your outlook on things a lot. It really does.
You know what? It comes down to this. If you've ever worked hard, you've gotten out there and worked with your hands, you realize that the first couple of days your hands are sore, they're going to tear open, they're going to bleed. After you do it over and over again, your hands get tougher. They're able to take it. They can take that same scratch and they're not going to rip open and bleed this time. You're able to withstand what you went through now that you've done it. So if you don't allow kids to go damage themselves, screw up, fall on their heads, Yeah, you take them to the hospital if they get hurt bad enough, but let them
Yeah,
go out there and wreck themselves. Because
that's how
how are
you
they
learn.
going to learn? Hey,
Yeah,
falling off a
exactly.
bike might hurt. I want to pay attention and not fall off my bike.
Yeah, the School of Hard Knocks is the best teacher I've ever had, dude. I've literally is the best teacher I've ever had. You learn. I mean, even as an adult, you learn mistakes. I mean, I know that me and you have both had things in our past that we're not proud of, but we both have gone beyond them and learned from them not to do what we did. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go too far into
That's
it.
what living is.
I just know that I've done things I'm not proud of, but you know what? I am who I am because of the things that have happened. And I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't want to be different. I like who I am today. I haven't always liked who I was, but I do today. So I would not.
And that's an awesome note to end the show on. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. There are buttons for you to play with on the way out. Make sure you play with your buttons. And with that,
Bye, everybody.
And with that being said, maybe I'll do something else this week because I've been a little bored lately. Everybody, if not, I will see you Saturday night on the Numbed Wasteland, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good one.